Dundalk TV is with Bill Thomas again at the Baltimore Antique Bottle Show and Sale. So Bill, tell us about your exhibit this time.
Well, this is called salt glaze, and it was a type of pottery that was fairly common in Baltimore. In fact, a lot of these pieces are actually from Baltimore, and some of them are actually dug out of privies and stuff like that. There was a lot of it being made, and if you know the area they're made in, you might run across some of these pieces. It's a salt glaze is something that's, when it's fired, they actually threw salt into these kilns, and it created a vapor that actually brought out a glaze on the surface, so it has a solid glaze on it. And then they added cobalt and decorated it like this, a cobalt glaze, which is broken down and create this blue thing. And this blue on gray is very, very popular in this area. And we have all kinds of pieces, a lot of pictures. If you look in the back, you can see pitchers and jugs and so forth. That was very utilitarian and used quite extensively in our area. But I actually have some unusual pieces. Let me get back here and show you a couple of them. This is actually an inkwell.
Hold it up, Bill.
Ink set in here and would fit in this holder, and this is for the sand to make it dry. And in here, this one's dated. It has some Pennsylvania type decorations on it from the Amish, and it's dated 1818, which is fairly early. Most of this pottery is from around 1800 up to about early 1900. All through the 1900s, actually, they made this kind of stuff. This is a very unusual piece. I've only seen one or two of them. This is actually a sample that was made by the potter to show some of the different things he could make. And this is actually a spittoon as a sample of a real spittoon that would be normally about this size. This is just a salesman's sample of such a thing.
Okay, now I've seen some of the spittoons that look like that in the past. Now I'm curious of the price on the sample, because I know that the samples usually run more than what the...
They do. A full-size one could go for $200. This could go for $3,000 or $4,000. It's just the way it is.
So how hard was it for you to find that rare piece?
Well, I've been doing this so long, for 50 years I've been buying and selling this stuff, so as an example, this big bowl here, it's with the pitcher and bowl. The bowl actually has a price tag on it where I bought it. Now this bowl would sell for $300 to $400 today with that decoration of the flower on it. The price tag on the bottom is $17.50. So that gives you an idea, but that's probably something I bought my 40 years ago or 50 years ago before it became so popular.
Okay, and that particular piece, I know it does matter where it came from, and where is the piece from?
It's probably a Baltimore piece. It was found locally, but it could be Baltimore, Pennsylvania. The flower on it is not a definite pattern. The bowl, or the pitcher that's in the bowl, is definitely a Baltimore piece by Herman. That was one of his designs, was to put this sort of a tulip or leaf type pattern on the ornaments, and a number of the pieces here when you look through.
Okay, and the time period on the bowl and the pitcher?
Mid-1800s. Mid-1800s. Sometimes they're dated. I've had dated ones from the 1840s up to the 60s and so forth. Some of it's a little bit later, but that's the main time period for it.
Now, Baltimore was a big area for bottles and glazes.
Absolutely.
And even cans as well.
Oh, yeah. We were canning in this area early. One of the biggest earliest canneries are in this area. So Baltimore was sort of a hub for a lot of that kind of stuff.
Okay, now what else do you have that's interesting? Let's see. How about the piece on the top right-hand side? It looks like it has a face on it.
Well, it's a little interesting. It is
can you bring it this way, please?
This is called a Bellarmine. This is German. I only brought it because it dates from the 1700s, and it's the way they made it in Germany. with this face. So I brought some examples of early salt glaze. And it's salt glaze. It looks a little different than our kind of stuff, but it's got these unique faces on it. It's pretty common to have this pattern on them, but they're hard to find. These will run $400 or $500 for one of them, but they're sort of cool. The piece beside it is actually English salt glaze. I'll get one for you. They have good clay in England, so this is a little piece, and they call it scratch blue, as it has the blue as the cobalt as you see in ours, but they would put the blue on it and put it in there. After they cut a pattern into it, they would put blue in it and then sand it down so that the blue stood out. And this is very early. This is more like 1760, 1780. And it's just a very unique piece. I brought it along just to show that, again, a salt glaze from England.
Well, that's a very high grade looking piece. So you had a real craftsman working on that back.
It is. Look at the handle, how delicate it is, and the ribbing on it, and the little tail.
I'm looking at the whole piece. It looks like something modern day. So
it's very similar to silver. A lot of the early silver from this period would have the same exact shapes, only would be coin silver or sterling silver.
Now that's beautiful. Now, if what price range would that be, Bill?
This is going to be right at $1,000 for this. It's early, it's hard to find. In fact, probably closer to $1,500, $1,800 for a piece like this. Very, very sweet.
It's beautiful. It's amazing for something that old to look that.
Well, and they even have them that haven't been broke or chipped or something. It's in really good shape for that age. Here's a scarce one. It's a salt glazed dog. They're not very common. It's in pretty good shape. Again, it's salt glazed, but they put a little bit of a cobalt on it to highlight it a little bit. I haven't seen a half a dozen of these period in 50 years. This one's probably out of Pennsylvania. And it's a takeoff in some of the early English Staffordshire would be just like that. But in this case, they made a dog in salt glaze, which is a little unusual. Cool piece, hollow on the inside. But,
so for somebody that's sitting home that might happen to have one, because that's the way the Antique Roadshow goes, how much is that piece worth, Bill?
It's really hard to say because there's really so few of them around. And I'll give you a hint that I've owned it for 10 years and paid $2,000 for it. So I feel it's worth more than that today, obviously.
Well, finding those rare pieces is something else. I'm sure people are lining up to get that from you someday.
Oh yeah, they'd like to have it. That's not going anywhere. Okay?
Okay.
This piece here, this big picture, made by Hayner's, which is a local factory, and if you look, it says Baltimore right on it.
I can see that.
And it has the crown type pattern, which is a pretty unique.
Here, let me come up on that a little bit so I can get a good, so everybody can see that, because it is very nice.
It's got Baltimore, it's I think 1.5 gallon, and it's got all marks on it. Again, this is a pretty rare thing to find. Mugs are hard to find because they got broke so often. This is actually a cider or beer mug, beer stein. Again, with the Baltimore pattern, it's strictly a Baltimore pattern. So as soon as you see that, you know it's Baltimore. And there's a little one over here somewhere. Also, just for drinking coffee and so forth out there.
Now, some of the stuff has a little bit more detail on it. Let's see, you have the one that's right there in the back, past the storage one.
Yeah.
So that's very nice decorative artwork on there.
This is actually Bennington, Vermont. A lot of the birds came out of the New England area. We didn't do many birds down here. We did some fancy flowers. Once in a while they'll pop up on a Baltimore piece. But mostly we did sort of a simple type matter. Most of the birds turn up to be either Vermont or New York.
And you had one that I'm looking at all the way on the right-hand corner that was very interesting looking as well. Oh, sorry.
This is the Pennsylvania piece.
Let's get a little shot of that. Okay.
This is the Eagle and Shield. And it's typical for Pennsylvania. It's one of the designs they did a lot of.
Well, you always have a great display, and certainly do appreciate you sharing it with us again today. And I look forward to coming out and checking out the shaker pieces that you have sometime.
Sometime we'll get together on that one.
In the near future, hopefully.
I hope so.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank